Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I am a trained remote viewer. I was part of a secret government program that was looking for expanding human potential, finding all of human potential. Remember when they said we only use 3% of our brain? Well, they were looking for the other 97%, which really is not brain, it's mind. Um, Psychic abilities were everything. The physical body and the brain were not important other than to beat it up to 12 so that your mind would go even deeper into other dimensions. I chose that before I incarnated. I can still complain about it because they're still around, they're still harassing me, they're still threatening me, etc. But that's not what this is all about. This is all about me accomplishing my mission, which is to take this information that I learned under difficult conditions and to share it with you so that your life will be easier, so you'll understand what's going on. I'm not the only one on mission. I notice a lot of people today are like, get out of my way. There's something I need to say, there's something I need to do. This is important. It doesn't matter what it's going to cost me or who thinks I'm nuts. That's a big issue. When you are in a time in human history when there's a collapse of an old paradigm, a start of a new paradigm, people don't really know where we're going because they are very spiritually unsophisticated. The people that are forward are always, it's always said that they're crazy. And that's been one of the biggest issues with me. Just how crazy am I? Not crazy at all. I look at all of you guys and I go, oh my God, how can they see the same thing over and over again? They don't even trust themselves. I'm talking about you. All those pictures of spaceships, and you're still rolling around wasting time on social media about whether they exist or not, or saying the government knows, or they're just, and then you're bringing up pictures from years ago. You had the evidence years ago. Very unsophisticated spiritually. And unfortunately, that applies to entirely too many things. So today we're going to talk about interspecies communication. So let's review something that's in the Bible. I'm not Christian, I'm not Catholic. I love Jesus. I know Jesus would approve of me a lot because he was a shaman. And I'm a shaman. And I'm a galactic shaman because now our world is mixing with other worlds that are not on this planet, which makes it galactic. So, interspecies communication, we have to start with the Temple of Babel. What's that? That's a story in the Bible. I swear to you, a lot of those stories are in the Bible. If your kid showed up at home and told you those stories, you'd go, what is the matter with you? You want me to believe that story? And then there's some people say, well, it's really just symbolic. Well, then why are you telling me that story? Why don't you tell me the real story? And to be spiritually sophisticated, you have to be willing to be an independent thinker. You cannot be, I don't really care how great Jesus Christ was because he was. The Bible was written 300 years after he passed. Give me a break. People can't remember what I said to them last week or even 2 hours ago. Come on. Temple of Babel. So in the Bible, it says, and anybody that wants to correct me, please feel free. I don't want to pass on information that's not accurate. And I do make mistakes. Temple of Babel. God saw that humans were trying to reach all the way up into the heavens. Man, they'd really have a problem with Elon, wouldn't they? All the way up into the heavens with this big a temple. And so they knocked it down and they created a language so people couldn't communicate with each other. What is this saying? In the first place, they couldn't build buildings that tall then. So they knocked down something. Who knows what they knocked down? They created language? Oh, so there wasn't language before? No, because we didn't need language, because we had telepathy. Oh, no, but not everybody is telepathic. Yeah, you are. It's just not people that aren't spiritually sophisticated think that that's only a gift for certain people. Maybe you can be a little bit telepathic. Have you been married for 40 years? Hello, wake up. If you're Christian, then what did we do to communicate? Sign language? No. Telepathy. So language is a setback to communication, which is exactly what God wanted at that point. You know what? I have to deal a lot of times with gods, the kind of gods that are in the mythology stories. And they're not the kind of gods that we're taught are gods. Our gods are supposed to be good gods. And then they make you kill your children. They destroy the ability to communicate with telepathy, which would really help you in times of danger because you could, as I encourage people to do, communicate with your animals and they could tell you without you trying to figure it out, looking at their faces. Because telepathy is an ability that is so incredible. It's so blankety blank incredible. The Russians did studies, and it's in the book Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. It came out, I think, in the 60s, not sure the date. And they had two women in different cities in Russia. Russia's very big and it has apparently several languages. Each one of them did not speak each other's language, but they sent each other messages telepathically. And they received the messages in the language that they understood, not in the language in which it was sent. That's one big hell of a great computer. Oh, there was no computer involved. That's telepathy. And that's what telepathy is like. Your dog can speak to you telepathically. The bird that visits on your windowsill can speak to you and would like to speak to you telepathically. And why is this important today? Because we have evidence, if you believe in me, if you're spiritually sophisticated and trust yourself, we have evidence that the ETs want to communicate with us. Now, this is evidence here in this chat. There's a lot of evidence that they want to communicate, but let's just limit ourselves to this chat. These are spaceships with open doors. So 2 or 3 chats ago, which would be 2 or 3 days ago, we went ahead and we did a mantra to help us to understand and to communicate with ETs, the ones with the open door spaceships, because there's a lot of bad ETs. So being spiritually sophisticated means accepting things that we're not supposed to accept. It also means putting yourself first in terms of what you feel, okay, you should be able to rely on. Now, if you're so used to relying on authority, or if you're a very insecure person, you may need to rely on somebody else, at which time you're probably not going to be spiritually sophisticated. You're also going to be running around saying, where's the proof? And the government has a proof and they're not giving it to us. Why do they have to give it to you? You have all the photographs. You have all the people that from their faces, you can tell that they're not really lying. Okay, so they did believe themselves, but they're crazy. Okay, that's a lot of crazy people that are basically sane in the rest of their life. It's one of the reasons why it's really important for me not to run around in just in house dresses and with little thongs and just being a flower child type, love everybody person because people don't respect that. Well, that's okay. It's not my style anyway. But I need to look professional. I have to have a good income from this, from my psychic stuff, not from the business I had before, for people to have respect. What is that all about? Jesus Christ didn't have a good income. He didn't have a big bank account and he didn't have an investment banker. And yet you all adore him. And you should. How about if you adore his values and not simply what a book that was written 300 years later is telling you, which includes stuff that has to do with killing your kids, has to do with destroying your ability to believe in telepathy, and a lot of other things. And I'm not being critical. I am giving you my observations. If you want to take me down, you can't take me down because you see, you don't pay me. I'm giving you information. It took me a lot of work to get in order to facilitate your life at this time of transition when a lot of people are very confused because there's an ending of a cycle, the collapse of a paradigm, revelations. We're finding out all this god awful stuff, but not just about other people. We're finding it out about ourselves. We're remembering stuff that we did and we're horrified. Oh my God, I didn't remember I did that to my sister. I didn't remember I did that. Oh my God. The Mayans said that was going to happen at the end, right at the end, right at the very end. We were going to remember the stuff that we did that wasn't so wonderful, and it was going to really kill us because we can't face it, because we've not been taught that dark is just as valuable as light, and that doing dark things just means that you're balanced. Because if this is a planet of light and dark, you can't just be light, because then you're unbalanced. Lots of stuff that we don't know. But before I get into the next class in interspecies communication, because that's what it is, talking, it's telepathy. It's telepathy. It doesn't matter if you're Greek, Roman, Cuban, female, male, have a college education now. Everybody is telepathic. So come on, become spiritually sophisticated. Stop doubting yourself. When it comes to all of this stuff, forget what you were taught in school. When you went to the university, forget that triple. Got a PhD? Forget that quadruple. You work in finance? Forget everything they taught you while you're working with this stuff, because all of that stuff is going to try and nix us out. And guess what? The only people that are going to survive having to do with finances has to do with people that go with instincts. Because if you go with the traditional stuff, I think you may be going down the tubes pretty soon. So get with yourself, not with me. Get with yourself. What are your instincts telling you? You can't stand what you're doing for a living? You're going to go down. Why? Because we already are entering the age of Aquarius. If you're not aligned with your mission, if your heart doesn't sing, having to do with what you do for a living, you're not supported in the other dimensions. And what is happening in the other dimensions is really scary. But before we get into that, I have my personal issues. I sent a letter today to the mayor of Coral Gables. I'm going to read you the letter. And I'm sure that people that are friends of mine and my kids and my family are going to be, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm just saying stuff that's true. There is so much going on in Washington and in this country behind the scenes. There is so much danger for everybody, for people like me particularly. So I'm going to read the letter, and then we're going to go into the fun stuff, which is the interspecies communication. And then, but before I do that, and if I forget, remind me, I did sketch you before you arrived here. I do think about you guys when I'm not with you. We have the Merkaba formed. That's for galactic travel. Oh, that's great. Do we need to travel now galactically? If something huge happens, if there's a nuclear war, if there are catastrophes that take over the planet, we would need to be in that configuration. Maybe it's a really good thing, and maybe it's a scary thing. Let me read you the letter first, okay? This is to the mayor of Coral Gables that my family knows, my grandkids know, looks like a decent chap. And this is what I wrote. Hello, Vince. I hope you're well. It would be wise for you to ensure Coral Gables does not become known as the home of and protector of the sex, child trafficking, Cuban mafia community. Hundreds of thousands of people know about their terrorizing, blackmailing, threatening practices against me and my family here in the Gables and in Miami. Yet, the sex, child trafficking, Cuban mafia even feel free to use energy-directed weapons against me and others, even on Madeira Avenue, which is where I live. You have names such as the one I gave you, Rene Villegas, and addresses such as One Alhambra and others. Why do they feel so free to terrorize here in Coral Gables? Why do they know that they can get away with illegal and immoral activities even today? You need to protect the city beautiful and the reputations of Cubans to ensure our kids can go to universities and the world beyond Miami and be respected. You and Marco Rubio, U.S. Senator, need to create right here in their home, Coral Gables and Miami, a distance between what sex and child trafficking group of Cubans did and the rest of the Cubans. I personally don't think any Cuban will be elected to any political position, local or national, in the future if that group of men is not taken down prior to all the disclosures scheduled to come out. I believe you, Vince, and Marco Rubio and others need to stop protecting that group of men that do not represent Cubans well. If you do not shut this group down, castrate their belief that they can coordinate and continue to get away with anything, then the Cuban reputation will go down. And that includes the whole world finding out about how they use black magic, eat each other's feces, rape whenever they want, and blackmail an entire society just to continue with their illegal, immoral activities, but also very lucrative activities. We are in Revelations, and all will be uncovered or revealed, including the black magic they use on their spiritually unsophisticated patrons in power. Got it? Now, most of you here are going to say, why is she bothering us with this? Because there's a lot of people who listen to this chat, even though it looks like I have like 0 numbers. There's a lot of people that listen. And the truth of the matter is that the more of us that speak up, the harder it is for the people that are hiding in the dark to stay hidden or to continue to act. This is the same thing. This is Cuban mafia. This is, I don't know how many types of that kind of mafia there are. I can tell you that the Italian mafia does not do the things that the Cuban mafia do. They do not touch each other's family. And that's the first thing this group does. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead into the fun stuff. When I brought out the phrase spiritually sophisticated years ago, and I asked people about it because I thought it was great. Oh no, we don't like that. Well, you know what? They're not spiritually sophisticated. That's why they didn't like it, because they couldn't say, I'm spiritually sophisticated. Too many people in power are not spiritually sophisticated. Do you have power? Do you run a big company? You need to be spiritually sophisticated. You need to be aligned with the values that are coming in now with the age of Aquarius. You need to understand that emotions transfer. So if half your staff is massively depressed, the other half is going to be also. You need to do stress management, having to do with emotions, and a zillion of other things like that. Just one little thing. One of the times that I remember the most doing, actually, it wasn't stress management, it was sales. I was working with a group having to do with augmenting sales. So I would meet with each person, it was a small group, 5 or 6 people, to see what was the number one thing that was stopping them from making more sales. You're not going to believe what the answer was. I'm a good psychic. The number one thing blocking that group of salespeople, all of them except for one, so let's say it was 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 5, was they slept with their cell phones. What's that got to do with anything? Your cell phone radiates microwave. You're microwaving your brain. You're microwaving your throat chakra. When you sell, it's talking, da, 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 da. Even if it's email, it's still coming from the throat chakra. And every single one of those people, except for the one that didn't sleep with their cell phone, has dry mouth syndrome. And they were all under 50 years of age. You don't get dry mouth syndrome until you're in your 70s and 80s. It's usually having to do with medications. And it means your whole mouth is going to go. Your teeth, your gums, the whole 9 yards. It's bad. The number one block to sales is sleeping with your cell phone. Spiritually unsophisticated society that doesn't want to look at that because cell phones are an addiction. Okay, let's go over this. This is how you look before you got here. This is really good. Something is happening under the earth. We know that. In other sketches, we have it. The lava in the center of the earth lost its envelope. So it's moving around. And science said that a couple years after I said it. That's okay. They can't say anything unless their peers are going to agree with it. That's one thing about being spiritually sophisticated. You have enough self-esteem that you can see something and feel something and nobody else agrees with you. And you go, yeah, but you know what? That's what I see. That's what I feel. You're going to be able to keep yourself safer because of that. So some big unrest on the planet, Earth. We have the 3 pyramids of protection. This is great. You have the third eye open. This is great. I loved Elon Musk's new picture with the beaming eyes. They're blue. Third eye. Great. Heart chakra got blue. This is good. And then for the first time, I drew the Merkaba. See the 2 triangles? They're not straight. Okay, sorry. They're not straight. Oh, that's why the blue here is the center of it. The Merkaba is the two triangles and they center in the heart chakra. The Merkaba is our vehicle. It's when our mind, the mind strings, literally reconfigure into this configuration. And it's the vehicle for galactic travel. So that when you have to travel away from this planet. Now, several chats back, the dolphins told me that we had ascended to a point where we needed to activate this to be able to function on the planet. But apparently, the planet has a bit of a galactic vibration. I don't have all that information straight. All I'm telling you is we look really, really good, and Earth is looking really, really bad. So, now this is what I drew the other day. Really, really open. Okay, now let's go back to the interspecies communication. I've been drawing the spaceships with doors open. So I asked, and the dolphins said, that is them inviting us to visit them like a good neighbor. And we can invite them to visit us, which we have done in 2 or 3 chats, one here and a couple of other chats. And today at 9 in Spanish, I'm going to be doing it again. You do a mantra, which we're going to put up now. Latina Espiritual, I don't know if you remember the mantra in English. I should have written it down before we started, but I mean, I'm covering a lot of bases. And I just sent that letter to the mayor. Who knows what's going to happen, what the repercussions for that is. I suspect that the repercussions are going to be very good for a lot of people. People are afraid. Okay, so we're going to do the mantra. And this is all developing your third eye. Okay, all of this is up here. Superpowers are here. Telepathy is here. Moving objects with your mind is here. Do you know how satisfied the young kids and the younger, the more satisfied they're going to feel when they're going to be allowed to talk about the fact that they do know how to move an object, but they don't talk about it because, they see spirits, but they don't talk about it because it makes their parents crazy. Do you know how much more fulfilled they'll be knowing that when they are fighting at night with spirits that they can't even talk about, that they're really helping to protect the planet rather than they're crazy and they need to be medicated. No, 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 no. They need information. Okay, so the mantra, which nobody is putting up here, which I'll put up, you're going to repeat it. And what you're going to be doing is, I don't have my usual assistants here. Give me a second. And we don't have anybody typing today. Oh, Latina Espiritual did do it for me. Thank you. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, God, help us with our intention to miraculously see and work with the ETs. To see them, third eye. What Elon Musk must have opened up over the weekend. Or at least that's the message I perceive. And to work with. How work with? You invite them into your home. And they actually start to work. Like they'll start to give healings. Or they'll start to gang up on a part of your home that has a bad vibe. Like in my case was the entrance of my house, my doorway, which of course is here in Coral Gables, blah, blah, blah. And they congregated there. Their presence is a vibration, and that vibration changes where they are, which is why you really cannot hang around with people that are really mentally sick or people who are very bad or people whose intentions are different from you, because that's a vibration and it's energy and it's information and it transfers. They come in, the ones that I'm asking you to connect with, which are the ones in the spaceships with the doors open. Not all ETs are good. You go out in your city, not all the people out there are good. You're not going to start talking with everybody because some of them are dangerous. Same thing here. We're talking about the ETs with the doors open. So I'm going to put the music up, the one that's for the mind strings, the trilling. And we're going to do this for 10 minutes. And you're going to become spiritually sophisticated. You're going to let go of your need for authority because you don't yet consider me an authority. I am in my field, but you don't know me. You don't consider me. Just go with it. What bad can happen? You're in your home. You can click off at any moment. You don't have to tell anybody. Nothing bad can happen. So, where did it go? How did I? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put up the music. 10 minutes and just relax. Just have the intention. If you are adventurous, you could go up to visit them. But I'm not sure that you're going to trust yourself. Whatever it is you see or whatever they tell you telepathically, I'm not sure that you're going to trust yourself. So I suggest you just stick with your house and just invite them in. And then you might not be able to see. You may be clairsentient, which means you can feel something. You may be clairaudient, which means you can hear something. Clairvoyant means you can see. Claircognizant, which is the most important, is when you just kind of know. You're not seeing, you're not hearing, you just know. So you can also figure out, you'll by watching yourself, which is you have to do a lot in metaphysics. You will be able to figure out after several of these sessions which psychic ability you're skilled in. We all have psychic abilities. Our superpowers are in our third eye. I cannot say 100% sure that all the psychic abilities are limited to the third eye because clairsentient has to do with feelings, emotions, and that's solar plexus chakra. But the most important ones, third eye. Getting the third eye open, what does that mean? Well, you guys are always accusing everybody who works with the third eye of conspiracy. Conspiracy for what? When that's open, you're very powerful. You can see behind the lies. You can see into things. You can understand. And being it that we're in a paradigm shift and everything is a jumble and authorities cannot help us, to be able to have that ability is like a really big deal. I'm going to stop talking. Let's go ahead and get to work. Ten minutes. Okay. We did 10 minutes. That was a lot. I sketched you during 3 pyramids of protection. Interesting. Mind streams from even the bottom part of the body. Because remember, until now, I've been drawing the mind streams only from like the neck and head. Third eye, totally opened, merged together. Rather than seeing duality, seeing unity. Third eye. And then the Merkaba in the proper color, because it's like a gold. I'm not sure it's gold. Maybe it's silver. I'm sketching it gold because that's what I'm seeing. The closest pencil was orange. Okay. I hear you. Nothing with the earth. But when the mind streams all go up like this, there's only 3 situations in which that happens. Because normally, this is what they look like. This is important for you to know. Normally, they look like this. Okay? The ones in the third eye and head, top of the head go up, and the rest of them go kind of parallel. Okay? But now here, they're all going up, including the bottom part of the body. When have I seen that? When somebody's in the process of dying. The ascension process would be a little bit of the process of dying. When somebody is incredibly happy, or when somebody wants to die. Those are the 3 instances that I have seen this configuration. Right now, we have the configuration of dying, want to die, or incredibly happy. Well, we're not incredibly happy. Yes, a lot of us don't really have a lot of vitality for living. Are we in the process of dying on the physical dimension? Is this the ascension process? I suspect that's kind of what we're seeing. But that does not look unhappy. This is not an unhappy sketch. It's unhappy if you're not spiritually sophisticated, if you didn't believe what the Mayans said 5,000 years ago, if you didn't believe one of the main messages in the Bible, and again, don't throw out the entire Bible at all. I'm not. The message in Revelations is we're going through a shift, and then we go into the golden age. So when we finish this messy part, we will be going into something beautiful. We already have one foot in something beautiful. People are saying it on X. There's a different vibration. It's a different vibration, and people are more truthful and they're more real. So this is the way we look. There was one last thing I wanted to tell you about. So we have the Temple of Babel, basically eliminating interspecies communication. Now we bring it back. And I don't suggest you put it in the newspapers because most people are not there yet. But you can practice up and you don't have to be with me, even though, remember, I have the power of induction. I have a superpower I've had since I was a kid. That's what the scientists in the military said. When you're in my presence, your psychic abilities augment. So we hope to see you back tomorrow. And let's see what it is that we can do, whether we continue practicing the interspecies communication or we go into something else. This is a very exciting time to be alive if you are willing to change and you're flexible. Guess what tree or plant is good for flexibility? The palm tree. Remember 20 years ago, everything in decoration was palm trees on the cocktail napkins, on your towels, on your bed sheets. Everything was palm trees. They were trying to, and the people didn't know this, the people that were doing the art and the design. But palm trees have to do with flexibility. When a hurricane comes, the palm tree will almost bend over and touch the ground, and then it'll spring back up again. You need to be like a palm tree. If you're like an oak tree, it's going to be harder because you can be knocked down permanently. A palm tree, flexibility. So you should call in the energy of palm trees so that you can be flexible and not get knocked down by all of the stuff that's going on, because there's an awful lot going on the physical dimension. And if you could see the other dimensions, you would want to run for cover. The problem is that there is no cover because we are in Revelations. Thank you for joining me.